Welcome back to the WatchTower Film Podcast, the film review podcast on the Towercast Network by cinephiles for cinephiles.
Like us.
We're rocking and rolling.
And rolling and
wheeling
rocking.
and dealing.
That's right.
Beefing
Smoking and showing.
And drinking a shitload of coffee.
Absolutely.
My coffee tastes funny, man.
It tastes funny. Yeah, yours does taste funny. You might have spiked it with something there, pal. Maybe like that vodka in the film, right?
Oh,
A little bit of vodka.
good
welcome
old
back.
potato.
Welcome back to our previous Oscar winner series. We're leading up to the Oscars, rather,
That's
to the
right.
Academy Awards, to the 93rd, 94th, 93rd?
I thought it was like 96th.
I don't know.
I thought last year
I think it was
was
the
95th.
93rd. I could be wrong.
I don't know. I watch sports.
Money on 96. Wait.
97.
Wait.
I was about to bet. Bro.
Leading up to the 97th Academy Awards. Here, we got set money somewhere here.
Don't confuse it with my real money. Then I can't buy stuff.
I learned that the hard way.
No, don't worry. That says $5. The set money says 100. We're fine.
Try to buy
I
something
can't
off
reach it,
fucking
pal. Just
Family
leave it
Channel.
there.
No,
It's not in the frame anyways.
Please, I need my money back.
It's not in the frame. You'll get your money back.
Oh,
Yeah.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
it's gonna bother
Welcome
me.
back. We're leading up to the Oscars. We're very excited because we've also simultaneously have been, as I mentioned before, just like catching up on all the Best Picture nominees to talk about. You know, get ready for our 3+ hour episode. Talk about all the nominees.
All the
I've
good
watched
and bad.
so much cinema.
So much cinema.
It hurts.
It hurts.
It hurts.
You're not doing it right.
No, they're just sad.
Most of them.
It's great.
Can you get that thing that's right there? It's gonna bother me.
God damn.
Seriously, yeah. I know. Yeah, I'm about to say.
Son of a bitch.
Previous Oscar winners. We're talking about if you missed last week's episode, kicked us off with a previous Best Director winner.
Yeah.
The film we're going to talk about today had 7 nominations, 3 wins. One of them, which we're kind of focusing on the most, the reason it was picked is because it was a Best Actor winner.
Adrien Brody.
Nominee and winner for Adrien Brody, who's nominated again this year, who very well is going to fucking take it. I put my money on Adrien Brody. Adrien
Are you
Brody's going to
gonna
take
Well,
it.
he's between two. He's between that and
Timothy Chalamet, who did phenomenal, but I think Adrien Brody just did so much better.
We're also missing 2 films.
Yeah, we are missing 2 Best Picture nominees. You're right. I don't think either of the ones that we're missing. Oh no, Conclave does have nominees.
Wait a minute.
For acting.
Who's up for Best Actor this year?
Timothy Chalamet, Adrien Brody.
Some girl.
Is Jesse Eisenberg up for Real Pain?
Oh, I don't know.
I know Kieran
Eisenberg.
Culkin is for supporting.
Really?
I
Yeah,
don't
Kieran
think-
Culkin is for supporting. Oh, there you go. Coleman Domingo and Sing Sing.
The
Ralph.
Apprentice.
How do you pronounce his last name? Ralph Phineas?
Phineas?
Fiennes? Ralph Fiennes?
Ralph Fiennes.
Ralph Fiennes.
Ralph Fiennes, baby, for Conclave. And Sebastian Stan for The Apprentice. That's a random one, right?
I've seen it. It's pretty good.
No, I haven't seen
The
it.
Apprentice?
It's
He plays Trump, right? Yeah, he plays Trump. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
wow.
I saw something about that, but yeah. And then for
Doesn't
supporting,
look
you
like
have
it, but he's
Kieran
good.
Culkin.
Yeah.
Scroll down.
Supporting roles. Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. Yura Borisov for Honora.
Edward Norton.
For a complete unknown. Yeah, that's a favorite. That might be an interesting one. But Kieran Culkin did really good, man. He's good. Guy Pearce for The Brutalist. Ooh, that's interesting.
good in it?
Oh,
I
he was
him.
pretty good.
Was he the rich guy?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he was pretty good too. Jeremy Strong for The Apprentice as well.
Yeah.
Let's just since we're in this vein already, let's also mention that the actress in leading role and actress in supporting role. So for actress in leading role, we have Cynthia Erivo for Wicked.
God.
Carla Sofia Gascon for Emilia Perez. She did phenomenal. I will say she did phenomenal, despite the
Comment.
controversy right now.
Comment. Everybody comment if you agree or disagree.
Despite her
Mikey
previous
Madison.
tweets, Mikey Madison, who's my top contender, I really want her to win.
Demi Moore?
Demi Moore did great, but not as good as Mikey Madison.
Really?
Oh no, man. Mikey
Demi Moore
Madison
went all out.
Nah.
Bro.
No, you gotta.
Dude,
you
she
gotta,
was in hiatus for
Nah. Her
20
makeup
years.
went all out, not her performance. Come on.
You didn't like her performance?
I liked her performance. I don't think it beats Mikey Madison.
Austin,
and then
Eric.
Fernanda Torres for I'm Still Here, which we haven't seen. We're screening tomorrow, actually. And then actress in the supporting role, we got Monica Barbaro for A Complete Unknown. She did good.
Yeah.
Ariana Grande, which I can't stand
Something's
behind. I'm
going on
sorry.
there.
Felicity Jones, who I think is going to take it for the Brutalist.
My goodness.
Isabella Rossellini, who I just love the fact that she's nominated. If you don't know who she is, she's a phenomenal actress, also a writer-director, well within her right. And she's the daughter of a legend. She's the daughter of Roberto Rossellini, legendary Italian neorealism director. And ex-wife of Martin Scorsese, in case you wanted that. And then finally we have Zoe Saldana for Emilia Perez. So
she's gorgeous. I love her.
She was really good.
Yeah,
she was really good. She might have a leg up over Felicity Jones because it's a musical and she did so much more.
Oh my God.
Vagina, and penis.
Okay.
Watch it.
Yeah.
Bringing it back. It is Mr. Jean-Eric Castro's pick this week to talk about The Pianist.
Because of Adrien Brody, and I thought we could keep it close to The Brutalist,
Absolutely. Before we get into the film, I need to introduce my fellow co-hosts and everybody's in the room. Introduce Mr. Michael Lalao, offering a cinematography perspective.
Coffee connoisseur.
If you wonder why our set looks so good, he's mostly responsible.
I thought you were saying beanie, like coffee bean.
Oh,
like residential beanie.
That's why you like beanies.
Also, I'm slightly Mexican, so
is there a term? Is there a term for coffee, like the way there's for cinephile, like coffee?
Yeah, like beaner. Because they like
no.
You're attracted.
Is that not what we do?
No. I mean, if
like
you
that
want
man knows his beans,
if you want that title,
hey, yo, we're all Mexican in the room. It's fine. At least partly. What is
the one person who's only listened to audio and it's like that guy's racist?
Yeah. What is it? Is there a term? Like a attract the coffee or whatever, sexually aroused by coffee?
Like
beanhead?
Coffee.
What is it? I can't read
coffee
that
head?
far.
There must be one, man.
Scholar?
Coffee scholar?
Maybe there isn't.
Enthusiast.
Brewmaster.
Coffee aficionado.
Oh, I like that one. Brewmaster.
Yeah, there's brewmaster, barista maestro.
The brewmaster.
Connoisseur.
Coffee
Mr. Michael
addict.
Law, who is also a connoisseur in cinematography.
Absolutely.
Mr. Jean-Eric Castro offering an acting perspective, and we're really going to lean heavy into that
in
this episode.
Acting and performance.
Absolutely.
For anything entertainment, I am your guy.
All right, so I'll meet you in the bathroom in 20 minutes.
I know.
Mr. Austin Young, making sure we're sounding good on the ones and twos back there, offering a producing editing perspective.
Howdy, how?
Production producing, because now we have a man who you've seen on the show before. You may have called him on our Hereditary episode. We have fresh out of L.A., the one, the only, Eric Nunez.
The young buck.
Who we are proud to announce. I mean, we have announced this since...
Wait, did you guys catch that?
What?
I'll say it again. I started the fires.
Oh, shit, son!
Cut that touchdown! Get out of here!
And I'll do it again.
No, do it again. So do it in El Paso, bro. That's fine.
I'm a firm believer that they were caused to destroy the Diddy tapes. The Diddy evidence.
Yeah, that's one of the theories going around, right?
That's for late night.
Anyways, he's not going to destroy this podcast or this set. But no, we do want to introduce Eric Nunez officially as the new producer on the Towercast Network.
He's the young Thunder Cat.
We're going to give it up.
Yeah, he's keeping us in check, man. We need somebody to kind of get all this chaos and centralize it. And we really saw that in Eric a lot, and sets that he's helped us out in, and just his general kind of work ethic is really great. So
fully agree.
It was the first time that we're getting ready to record a podcast, and we heard a voice being like, okay, what's our ETA till we shoot? And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. Not just that, but like, hey, I don't want water bottles on the set. I want it to look nice. I mean, like,
I love that.
Genuinely, it really does keep us in a great,
about the viewers.
quite a quality control perspective.
He's the kind of guy that before you go on camera, he'll pull out your wedgie just to make sure you're prepped and ready to go.
He's got a lot of experience as a fluffer in LA, so it really comes in handy when you become a producer. When you're selling and not buying, it really becomes when you switch it from buyer to seller.
Pretty good, man.
Genuinely, we're really happy to have Eric here on the pod, and he'll be behind the scenes more than anything, but you'll see his hopefully his purdy face every episode.
I heard you call him CK. Is that what we're going with?
That's what I've been going with for a while now, because we got 4 Erics in this fucking group.
And
not in the room,
the only one.
Well, he's Castro, you know.
Yeah, we got
and then
Castro.
like Eric doesn't prefer to be called anything but Eric. Sometimes you can call him Sanchez, I guess.
Yeah, Sanchez.
And then like you got CK. That's because he's the only Eric that spells it with a CK.
What have been like your nicknames throughout your life?
Fuck, my first one was a chipmunk because I got buck teeth.
Wow.
Okay, we can flirt with that.
I mean, I'm not dating you, so I feel uncomfortable calling you my little chipmunk. You know, like
you have to say
You made that weird.
I'm just saying. It's got
So we got
pet name.
chipmunk. What else we got?
Do you want to cuddle right now?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a comfortable couch.
All right, so chipmunks on the board.
So there was chipmunk.
Chipmunk?
And then, fuck, what else? CK, albino.
Albino
this girl
Eric.
looked like me.
Yeah,
That's why my Instagram is albino Eric. Shout out.
Albino Eric.
Albino Eric.
I kind of that's I don't know.
Yeah,
I'll call
like
you
CK.
Bino.
I dig CK.
Yeah, CK's cool.
I have a really good story. So in film school, we were watching It Happened One Night, and at the end of it, you know, the teacher's like, "Hey, so what's does anybody have any questions?" And I'm like, "Why doesn't anybody realize that this movie is basically Shrek?" So I raised my
Wow.
hand and I'm like, "This isn't a question, but that movie was Shrek." And then half of the room, dude, I thought the same thing. So then for the rest of that month, when every single movie that we're watching, it could be like fucking Mission Impossible. All my friends were like, "Dude, ask, say it's like Shrek, say it's like Shrek." So I was kind of known as like the Shrek guy.
So you were Shrek.
I was Shrek,
Shrek, dude.
You shall be.
and now
Shrek? You want to call him Shrek? Nah, that feels
I like
mean.
CK.
You can say
CK.
I like CK. I like CK. You guys
I'm
can call
gonna call him
American
Bino.
some- Bino?
Yeah.
Bino.
Vinyl.
Bino Eric. That kind of sounds like vinyl.
I'm gonna call you CK because we're Erics, bro.
Yeah,
I
CK.
like
I
that.
dig
CK.
CK.
You see, I got
But-
the DLC.
But yeah, Eric
DLC.
Nunez, present.
Is he like the DLC? Is he like the upgraded package of like the podcast? Like,
yeah. DLC. I like that.
Now it's premium.
This is
That's
premium.
premium.
2.0.
So yeah, we'll be talking about Roman Polanski's 2002 Academy Award-winning picture, The Pianist. This film won 3 Academy Awards, as previously discussed. It actually won a Best Director win for Roman Polanski. A lot of controversy behind
I'm
that. We'll
assuming
get
that's-
into that.
I'm assuming that's his first
No,
Chinatown.
I think he got one for Rosemary's Baby also.
He did Rosemary's Baby.
He did.
Oh my goodness.
I think he won for
I didn't know
Rosemary's
it was-
Baby.
That's like his. Well, that's what I used to think it was. His
But
stuff.
Like I just don't know Polanski films.
Yeah, I mean Chinatown and Rosemary's Baby are his big ones.
Yeah, that's why I'm
But
like
let's
not a
see,
big.
he won for
Pianist,
best winner for the
Trees.
Pianist. Oh yeah, this is his first one. He's just been nominated for Rosemary's Baby, Chinatown, and Texas.
Texas. Yeah, I couldn't see.
Nice.
Tess.
Dude, I cannot see
Yeah, I
that
can't
far. I'm
see
sorry. Yeah.
There we go.
So, but he's nominated as a producer because he also produced the Pianist. So for Best Picture. So we're kind of knocking out a Best Picture nominee here too.
Wow.
And then last but not least, of course, Adrien Brody took the Oscar home at 29, which is still the record for the youngest actor
Oh wow, I did not know that.
at 29,
29.
for winning an actor for leading role. So Adrien Brody took that. Very well deserved. What else was he up against that year? I really want to know. But yeah, Castro, you picked this while he's looking that up. Here we go. Adrien Brody,
Oh my
Nicolas
God,
Cage for
Day-Lewis?
adaptation. Oh, that's a good one. Michael Caine for The Quiet American.
I can't see.
And then Daniel Day-Lewis for Gangs in New York, yo.
What a
Shit.
He beat
And then
that?
Jack Nicholson for About Schmidt. So he beat, imagine this.
I mean, great-
Brody at 29 beats Jack Nicholson, Daniel Day-Lewis, Michael Caine, and Nicolas Cage.
Damn.
That's fucking awesome,
those are the
dude.
people I
Like,
grew
good
up
for
with,
him.
man.
That is
Yeah.
fucking, imagine
Yeah,
being
that's-
going home to say, like, I beat my heroes. That's fucking
Yeah.
huge. He was even, I think there was a story that I read about that he was talking to Michael Caine about, like, I don't have a speech, dude. Like, I'm not going to win. Look who's nominated.
Right? Like he
And
didn't
then
even.
I would have thought that Daniel Day-Lewis would have taken it home that year, but
Oh yeah, because of the fucking glass eye and him
the
tapping it and
butcher.
everything. Yeah.
terrific role. But yeah, nevertheless, Adrien Brody took it at 29, and I mean it's really interesting because I do want to ask you about this guy. Sort of like I obviously want to get your take on why you picked this film,
Ask
but
away.
I'm curious how you feel about the trajectory of his career post The Pianist because. Naturally, he did a bunch of films with Wes. I think, if I'm not mistaken, after The Pianist, he probably did Darjeeling Limited next.
Was that the first one with West or?
Yeah,
That was the first one with Wes. But, after that, naturally, we saw him pop up in The French Dispatch. We see him pop up in...
Butcher West, but also he did Predators.
Yeah,
he did.
he did Well, like 2004, he did King Kong. So I mean,
right.
He didn't go directly with West right afterwards. I think, yeah.
Oh yeah, he did. Wow.
The Singing Detective, The Village. Oh, he did The Village.
Yeah, that was before The Pianist, right?
Hollywoodland's a good film. It's like this noir piece.
saw
It's
that
really good. And then he did the Darjeeling
Aren't
Limited.
they doing an update of that one?
2007.
Vineland, something?
So what's the question? What like his trajectory?
I'm just curious how you feel because I feel like he wins an Oscar, and his presence, if you will, in Hollywood. I don't want to say cinema because he was still working, doing good films, but his Hollywood presence was just
really.
I thought so. I mean, I don't think we saw him in anything on the forefront. Usually, you win an Oscar and you go do a massive film, and I'm not saying King Kong isn't. I'm just saying,
but he went to do
you
a couple
stay
of
in
West.
No, but West is relatively
never a forefront guy. West is never a...
Because even like Darjeeling Limited, like people saw it and it was good, but West was still also trying to get a name for himself.
Yeah.
Like,
and
that was his first kind of
Satyajit Ray inspired film. Like it's not. It's a niche thing. It's very
relatively artsy. I even rewatched it the other day after watching
Dick
the brute.
I told you I've been wanting to rewatch it, asshole.
I only watched like the first sequence.
Yeah.
Is it because of the interview with yeah, I love that interview. It's great.
I was showing it to my mom because he was talking to Jason Schwartzman and saying how it's really interesting when they interact with each other, like outside of like a Wes Anderson film, because when they're on a Wes Anderson set, they say, "Oh, it's unspoken, but everybody just has a certain like demeanor because you're like
you're family."
Yeah,
you're at a sleepaway camp, is what they say.
Basically,
you're living in Wes Anderson's world,
And like they also for the Darjeeling Limited, they had to go with minimal crew because they're literally the set was a train, like going around India. If you missed the set, like if you missed the train. Well, not really. It was an active train. It was an act. Like it was an active. They just took over some carts, basically. Okay. But they used it as a live set. So if you missed the train, you missed the set. Like you were fucked. Like you had to go catch up somehow. But basically, because they went with such a small crew and such a small cast, they all lived in the same house. They all like woke up to like Adrien Brody tells like they were like we'd wake up and brush our teeth and have coffee in the morning and go to like it was a real family kind of affair that way.
Have you ever seen the last American Summer?
Wet Hot American Summer? I haven't seen it.
But the first one, the original one, they did that too. Okay. Everybody stayed in the same cabin.
It's kind of a dream, right? Yeah. Like in the sense, but my point with that is that him and you should go check it out. It's the A24 podcast with Adrien Brody and Jason Schwartzman. And they do talk about this interesting kind of dynamic just inside a West film. And not just those two, by the way. Like anybody who's worked on the West film, he did the same thing for Asteroid City as most recently. Like, just got everybody onto a compound. City,
all of the buildings were housing for like the cast and crew.
Yeah.
So like they all just kind of lived there. They ate together,
I remember even Scarlett Johansson saying something about that, like, once you're on the set, you're on the set. Oh, yeah,
and then when they woke up in costume, like wardrobe. Yeah. So, like, you were always in that. And it's not like you have to be in character. It's just there's a certain, like, formalness and, like, properness to his world, and as long as everybody's in there, they abide by that kind of. So they were talking about in the interview how outside of that, like when they were talking to each other, because Adrien Brody's in The Brutalist, and then Jason Schwartzman.
He did a new A24 picture that required like heavy prosthetic makeup.
Yeah,
and
is it the one about It's almost like the Elephant Man.
It wasn't nominated for anything or anything like that. I think it was a fat suit, if I'm not mistaken. Like a.
Can you look that up, Boston? Jason Schwartzman, A24.
Yeah, but
So you think after this film he kind of like?
I kind of feel that way a little. Not plummeted, not in the slightest. I mean, like he always. What I think is interesting about Adrien Brody's career is that few can do this. Few can pull this off. Few can pull off what he pulled off. You get so much respect for a role like The Pianist. That everybody just knows, like, it's Adrien Brody. Like, he could do no wrong. So, like, he could make any choice in his career, and he's still going to be revered.
You know one thing I always like when I hear Adrien Brody is, have you ever seen that commercial or that thing that they did for villains for Prada? And they had Adrien Brody, they had William Dafoe.
Yeah.
Why did they put him in the villain? I've never really seen him in
because
the villain.
of
Grand Budapest Hotel.
Grand Budapest.
He was the villain in Grand
Just for
Budapest
that?
Hotel.
He's like a nepo baby in that one, and honestly, I think he deserved it.
Yeah,
No, he's good
I
now,
like
but-
him. I
That
like
one was
him.
sick.
Oh, what fun!
But compared to all the other ones have known for being the villain, right? But this guy only did one.
Yeah.
But that's all you need if you're Adrien Brody.
I will say, in his speech recently, when he won the Golden Globes for Best Actor,
Right.
he did talk about.
very sweet.
He mentioned, I genuinely thought I was never gonna be on this stage again.
That's what I mean.
Recently.
Like, even he was like, same
Like-
thing with Demi Moore, by the way. Demi Moore, like when she won the Best Actress Golden Globe, she was like, I thought I was done. Like I thought like there was a producer who told me like, you're out, kid. That's it. Like it's crazy,
even
and that's
better.
what I mean. Adrien Brody really did. Even to himself, felt like I'm just gonna do Wes Anderson cameos for the rest of my life, maybe.
But
You know,
you look at it, I don't look at it like that. I look at it as like, hey,
I do-
those guys don't get paid a lot.
No.
So they do it because they love
What it
shit that
is-
they're doing.
What it is, and
well, even for West films, West pays shit,
That's
man.
what I'm saying. That's
No,
what
no,
I'm saying.
but-
So he probably just loves doing those type of films.
Yeah.
It's not that he couldn't get the part.
what I think it is more Wes and Eric, if you want to chime in on this too.
Yeah.
But like Wes will do a film that everybody feels like we're not trying to experiment as actors.
Yeah.
We're not trying to go beyond this. We are just trying to accomplish his vision because he's so meticulous about the style, the cadence, everything that people do. I think that like Brody in his speech, he says, I never felt like I was going to have another opportunity like he did with The Brutalist to exercise range, exercise motion. And it really is him
And
putting
scale.
his all into a character and building it out and fleshing it out. And
it's not. It's also not
Yeah.
very often you get to do that with age,
yeah.
right? Because he starts relatively young, and then you really do see him as an old man. But by the end of the film, so that's playground for an actor, to be able to kind of shift.
But staying with Wes, when do you think? Because Adrien Brody.
Yeah.
When do you think he became Wes?
After
Not Darjeeling
Grand
Limited, right?
Budapest.
That one
no,
was-
after the Royal Tenenbaums, I feel like I've
when he got
heard
his name.
Yeah, that's when people started to see a lot of merit in his style. That's when people started, I think, to pay attention a little bit more. Especially, he started getting bigger names. Like instead of just his friends and buddies, it was like Ben Stiller. He started working more with
Bill Murray.
Bill Murray became like a consistent repeat person.
Almost
Like
all of them, right? I mean,
yeah, but I feel
And
like
his old buddies too. I mean, he was still doing stuff with Owen Wilson and Luke Wilson, and he was still kind of maintaining those
I
relationships.
feel like in Rushmore, he started finding voice.
yeah, that's where.
But Royal Tenenbaums, when I think he was able to exercise that, and then people gave him more trust when he started doing things like Life
Moonrise.
Aquatic, Moonrise later on. He wanted to explore an animation, did Fantastic Mr. Fox. Like,
and then finally landed on Grand Budapest.
Speaking of Adrien
French
Brody,
Dispatch.
yeah.
speaking of Adrien Brody's voice, what do you guys think about the AI situation happening between him and The Brutalist?
What happened there?
So apparently, what's the guy's name? Brady Corbet?
The director.
Yeah.
Apparently in post he wasn't satisfied with Adrien Brody's voice, and I might be wrong, but he wasn't too satisfied with his accent, so they used AI to enhance the accent more.
If
heard,
that's true, I'd be a little disappointed
Same.
because
Same.
I think that's
I mean, that's
I
what
think
the
that's
awards are
one of the
for.
most compelling things about his character is his voice, his tonality and his pitch, and that'd be rough. I'd say that's one of the most appealing things about that character. Similar to like Daniel Day-Lewis in There Will Be Blood, like it's that tonality, that pitch, that range.
wait, what did you left too, Quinn?
But let's talk about The Pianist.
Go
Man.
back
Let's
to
talk
Andy
about-
Wire, Austin.
So I'm not for it, man. 'Cause
Deadlines that said
it's cheating.
Deadline Hollywood did put
It's cheating your performance. It's not about perfection. It's all about.
Oh, it's like, could you go up? Deadline Hollywood had put that the Brutalist editor says filmmakers used AI tools to enhance Adrien Brody and Felicity Jones.
Why did you emphasize enhance? Like
Because
it was a good thing?
that's an operative word. It's not. You're not changing. Look, let me put it this way. Let me put it this way.
Enhance
but it
is
says,
literally
like-
the meaning of.
Native
Enhance
Hungarian,
means
and I
makes
know
better. It doesn't mean
means change.
No, it means make better. It means improve.
Improve?
Yeah, that means that there has to be
something without not doing anything.
That's why there has to be a foundation of doing something. Something has to exist.
Comment.
AI is, from the ground up, is creating
so you're
something.
with it?
I'm with it if it's the same thing as like de-aging.
Well, like,
right?
I mean,
de-aging is de-aging.
Here's the thing.
You're getting rid of prosthetics and these other departments.
According to the director,
if it's better, shit.
According to the director, he's saying that both Felicity Jones, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Felicity Jones and Adrien Brody spent extensive time learning the language, but he wanted to use AI to just perfect the accent, so not even Hungarians would be able to spot the difference. I mean, like...
So why didn't they do that with Emilia Perez? Or whatever that
No, because it's justified, and also watch the movie, damn it. Like, I mean...
I love it. True.
But with this, it's you know, I can understand what they're going
That's
for.
what I'm saying.
And I mean,
when it comes to enhance, quote unquote,
I'm not with it.
it's
we were very careful about keeping their performances.
Because you're seeing it
It
right now in
mainly
the
just
present.
replacing letters here and there. He said, you can do this in Pro Tools yourself, but we had much of the dialogue in Hungarian that we really needed to speed up the process. Otherwise, we'd still be in post. I'm also thinking, based on the Hungarian, it's not so much the English parts; it's more
the inflection.
the genuine pronunciation when they were talking in a different language.
But I see this 20 years from now. Imagine the actor's just going to come in, do a little 3D model of him, and then boom. Just AI's going to move
no,
down.
because that's what
that
the
was the
strikes
whole-
prevented.
yeah.
That's what the strikes prevented.
It's going to happen.
No,
You can
but
prevent
if-
as much as you want, but the technology is going to happen.
Well, the technology is going to exist, but the technology also exists to. Let's put it to you this way: ever since 3D animation, you didn't need humans to act. That doesn't mean that actors stop working. Yeah, it's the same thing.
But I'm not saying now it's getting better. Back in the day, you couldn't really do what we're
No,
doing
but I mean,
now.
like right now, we're seeing like movies like Avatar, where I mean, an Avatar.
I'm saying it's going to get even better.
Yeah, they're gonna throw them in fire. Like they're just gonna burn all the Avatar blue people.
Well, anyways,
Comment
so
if
again,
you're with it.
we're not necessarily talking about the Brutalist as much as we are talking about the Pianist, and this is 2002, right? This is when we don't have any of these tools, and you have to really rely on.
That's what when he said AI, I was like, for the Pianist.
Well, they did use a lot of CGI, but again, I liked that Polanski is going to use CGI the way I think it should be used in situations like this. Like, he really just uses CGI to do the gunshots at point blank range, even because they're blanks. You know, it's dangerous naturally. So we've learned that, in recent years.
I love y'all.
But, you know, that's what they use the CGI for. Is
for sure.
Side of explosion sides,
I'm good with
gunshots, stuff like that, not anything else.
Yeah. So let's talk about Adrien Brody's character, his acting.
Yeah, how do you feel about this? I mean, you picked it for a reason, right? You could have picked any film.
Are we gonna dive in and do the numbers, or are we gonna go straight into the performance talk? What do you want to do?
What do you guys think?
Your call. Your film.
I got an idea.
Yeah,
Spitball.
producer.
What's your hot take on Adrien Brody's performance in The Pianist?
My hot take is he did good.
That's fun.
I'm one of those guys that, sees it as he over the top, under. He's a subtle character in this guy, and this, his subtle gestures and movements, that's what really brought the character out. I just think the way the character was written, kind of like the last movie we saw, he's more of a passive antagonist, if you will, instead of somebody that's actually doing something.
You mean protagonist?
Protagonist. Antagonist. Protagonist. So I'm more about
the story's happening to him. He's not being a catalyst.
But it still feels like we're watching him from a distance. Like,
also his opinion.
Yeah,
that's my opinion. Yeah, like he did good. He did really good.
So your hot take is that it was too subtle?
It's not too subtle. I just think
too Jewish.
Like, obviously, it was awesome at the beginning.
Yeah,
his transformation is awesome towards the end, right? You see him as a perv, and then he's just, even when he's doing the piano, like you see, he's not even there anymore. He's just playing the piano. My hot take is, I don't think, this is what Roman Polanski went with. So I just think the character was not my type of character, but he did a really good job in it. I just feel like he was one of those guys that he's not a man of action. He was just like, I was reading about it. It's more about luck, what he was experiencing, instead of him doing something.
Yeah, but you don't need quote unquote active character. Especially in a story like this, where it's circumstantial, right? This is circumstance. How can a person navigate and survive through circumstance?
Like
that's beyond his control.
And that's exactly.
Yeah. And I kept making fun of it when we were talking about it. He's like, that the episode of this podcast should be they fucking save him, because that's what every scene is like somebody helps him out in one way or another just for him to be able to survive, right? But I don't know that negates his performance in any way, or you know.
Hear what I'm saying? I'm saying his performance is awesome, even if it was subtle, not a lot of dialogue. I just think the way it was written, I think it was just, I'm more of a character that's, instead of passive, he's doing something, his voice is being heard or whatever.
That's fair. What do you give it?
His performance or the whole film?
The whole film.
Damn, man. I'll probably give it a 6.8.
Oh my
shit,
God,
son.
I'm not a slow burner.
That's a hot take.
That's a hot take.
That's a hot take.
That's
All right, who do you want to go next? So we could give you a rating at hot take in the same sentence.
Yeah, so a 6.8 is a hot take. His performance is great. I'm not. Hey, he won the Oscar for a reason.
You'd seen this before, right?
I've never seen it.
You've never seen The Pianist before?
They've told me about it, but
So
no.
are me and Eric the only ones?
yeah.
Wow. I thought
Dude, this is probably like the 4th or 5th time I've seen the movie.
Same.
It's a banger. You guys are missing out.
Apparently. Wait, we just watched it. What are you talking about?
Well, John Eric partially watched it.
Ooh.
What do you mean?
Hot take. You fell asleep.
Thank you for calling it out, man.
We heard you
Thank
going memes in the corner, bro.
I started a little bit.
Yeah, you
He
did.
said slow burn. He
And it
said
was
he
funny
ate it.
because immediately I turned to Austin, but he was awake, and then he turned at you.
Hey,
Even then, I heard a little.
so you know how
this
I
guy
went
right
with me
here.
in this film.
Hey, yo, that's fair. Look, the more I try to combat that, I'm glad you pointed it out, but at the same time, I've been analyzing this a lot. Like,
Oh, dude.
why should I get upset if the film's not doing anything for you? It's subjective, man. Like, if it's not doing anything for you, it's not doing
Yeah.
anything for you. Like, it is what it is, you know?
Yeah.
Also, we do this towards the end of the day. People are tired.
Yeah, but
That is very
No,
true.
yeah. But
we
if
stay up
a
for other
movie gets
shit.
you, it
I mean,
gets you.
that's... Yeah.
No, it's the end of the day. I mean, there's a reason there's so much coffee at the
Yeah.
like right before we
Today
start the
was a tough day
podcast.
for me, but that's not here or there. But
Usually we'll start a podcast with like I don't know, like drinks last time, and it's like no, I need coffee. I need
I
a
really
little
want to see the cinematography standpoint from
Sure.
the La but
hot take.
This DP,
cinema ass. No, I'm kidding.
he had to use not that he had to, but you guys can imagine him having to reach out to anybody that's not European. And, you know, imagine calling Roger Deakins and being like, hey, I want you to DP my film. By the way, it's Roman Polanski. Like, no, he's going to have to work with crew members out there. Like, Powell Odeman, right? He did the DP work. He did Oliver Twist. He did Ghost Rider. He's not... he did Ray.
Eric, here's another hot take.
Yeah.
We always like to compare these films with other like Holocaust films. I'll kind of like compare this to Schindler's List. I think Schindler's List is more of my kind of, because it's got that arc of revenge, redemption.
You want a hot take?
Hot take, baby.
I think... fuck, shit.
This one
I
just...
think Schindler's List is fucking boring, dude.
It is, but it still has
No,
a
like,
good...
I think it's fucking
it still
boring.
has a good narrative.
It is.
still
It's a
going-
good
still going-
story. It's telling a true story similar to this, telling a very true
But
story,
this
and
is-
I just think it's fucking boring.
It is. Like,
and Spielberg is not a boring storyteller, man. Like,
No,
and by
I
the
agree
way,
with you. I agree with
Spielberg
you.
was also desperately trying to find a director for that film. He didn't want to direct it. He enlisted Scorsese to direct it. He
Really?
enlisted Roman Polanski to direct
Yeah,
it.
we
He
talked
didn't
about
want to
this.
direct it. And then, you know what's hilarious? When he enlisted Polanski, he's like, yo, maybe you should direct this. Polanski was like, that's too heavy of a subject. And then he turns around and makes a Pianist.
Wow.
So it's pretty great. But yeah, I want to
basically-
revisit Schindler's List, dude, but Schindler's List
real
is
quick,
one-
real quick.
different,
I
but same-
constantly
My
fall
bad,
asleep.
You're telling him that he basically gave the I'm sorry, man. Like I got to work that night, and he's at another party.
And he's at another,
I
yeah.
thought you were...
Yeah. I mean, granted, this was what, like 4 years later? Schindler's List
Yeah.
like 98, right? Something in that vein?
96.
Yeah. So I don't know. I could never. Not that I can't get behind it. It is a good film. It is a good story. It's boring as shit, man.
Do you like it?
I think it's
Cinema.
arguably
definitely
the
cinema.
best thing Liam Neeson has done.
Oh, back in 97, 98.
I liked him in Silence, dude. I thought his performance in Silence was terrific.
Particular set
But
of skills.
I mean, he's been doing Taken films for the past 20 years.
bro,
Like, what the
he's
fuck
the
are we
shit
talking
in
about
Taken,
here?
bro? Come on, bro. He's
But
got a
that's my
particular
point.
set of
Are
skills.
you going to tell me Taken is better than Schindler's List? His performance?
More entertaining. More entertaining.
Didn't he win an Oscar for Schindler's List?
That's Qui-Gon Jinn. You put some respect on his fucking name.
Put some respect on that name. That's,
Again, another thing
Wow.
he didn't win any Oscars for.
But
You
you're
wanna talk
understand
On
what
the
I'm saying?
first digital camera.
You want to talk about bad CGI that we can talk about?
Wow.
But you
Qui-Gon
understand what I'm saying? Well, that's my hot take. I
I
like more
think
of
you
that.
need to rethink.
You
that.
prefer that? That's a slower burn too, man. Like,
But it's got more of an arc. It's got more, there's redemption. This one's just...
yeah. All right.
There's
Hot take.
The end. nobody won. He's still sad.
Which film?
This one.
What do you mean nobody won?
Who? Okay, yeah. Okay. No. He lost everything. Yeah, he won his life.
Yeah.
That's the point.
No,
That's the point of any
is that
Holocaust film. That even if you're
at what
liberated,
cost?
you,
Like, he
you
doesn't-
What do you mean at what cost? Castro,
he lost,
like
he lost everything.
Castro, this is the Holocaust we're talking about. Like
That's what I'm saying.
This isn't like like what do you mean the superhero didn't defeat the villain in the end? No, this is just
No,
like
but
an event.
it wasn't him like
circumstantial.
going
This
off-
was the Holocaust.
It wasn't him like getting married or going to a different country.
It was the
living-
Holocaust.
What is the
Nobody
film?
got married.
No. What is the film called?
The
The
Holocaust.
Pianist.
The Pianist. He got to do a thing they brought him and the world lots of joy again.
Are you saying your opinion or my opinion?
I'm saying my opinion. I'm just saying I agree with you. It's sad. It's devastating that he lost his family and he came out
And
of
those
it.
are usually my type of
But
like.
the whole point of the quote unquote story. Can you grab me a water, though, please?
No, I feel
the
what
whole
you're
point of the story is he came out the other side, right? Quite literally, the other side
Quite
of the wall,
literally,
right?
yeah.
Like he came out the other side. That's the point of any of these films, right? Specifically, like it's either telling a story of somebody who didn't make it, who should be revered, and again, there's lots of those stories, people who didn't make it.
Look, I guess I'm stuck in the whole. Is it all luck or did he do it for himself? And
What does it matter?
Here's the question: was it luck that the German guy let him go at the end?
No, it was
Or-
defeat. It was defeat and sympathy. He knew they were losing. What is he going to go turn in a harmless Jew for? That plays beautiful music. You know, like he's done. He knows they're done. He admits that. That's his position. He's like, thank God, not me. Like, you're going to have to wait 3 weeks and then we'll be out of here. The Russians are here. We're done. He knows we're done. You know, I think it's empathy to an extent, but I think it's more like defeat. He's like, let me do a good deed because my life will be done after this. Yeah, and sure enough, you know, he's like inside the barbed wire and, you know.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I understand on this active side. I mean, look, Schindler's List, Liam Neeson's character, Oscar Schindler?
Yeah, right?
I believe so.
Oscar Schindler's character is more active. He's doing something actively to help people. He's putting people, you know, protecting people and hiding them and whatnot.
Exactly.
Also, I'll say this. There are films that are meant to entertain you and bring you on a journey.
Okay.
Then there's also films that are meant to explore a topic that is better brought to life through the lens of film. And I mean, like, there's one thing looking at pictures from this era, the Holocaust, concentration camps, people who survived, but they're extremely malnourished. And there's another thing seeing a movie that shows you moments and vignettes of them walking through the street. And like a big one is when he's walking and sees a kid crawling through the drain because they were just trying to steal food because they're hungry, and the kid gets stomped to death. And then by the time he's able to pull him through, he's just dead in his arms. And
that in and of itself is a traumatic thing to tell a story about, right? But this is just one minor thing.
And the thing is, I guarantee that
the way Roman Polanski, it was kind of like dry.
no, but it's.
No.
But that's what they're
life,
trying to
right?
I
describe.
kind of like it.
You know?
Yeah, and
I'll say this much. Again, when you're, you know, when I was in college and I was studying history and we were going through, historians hate cinema in a sense because it's very unfaithful to the actual historic events, and not just that, it's very unreliable because you have artistic freedom and stuff like that. But it's also like, short of finding actual documentaries that could paint a picture that way, this is the most faithful adaptation or interpretation of the ghettos of the Holocaust, which we don't see depicted a lot.
Towards the end.
And that was at least an act and a half, you know, of this film was just the ghettos side of this in Warsaw.
The wall.
The wall, the how just built everything, like building the wall, getting
even
the people
like the whole idea of people fighting for food. And I mean, they're like the whole first act, all the vignettes you get of living there and people, especially like the way they start off with him playing piano and you see him as an accomplished artist at like in his own maximum. He's able to play music on the radio. He's able to share it
at the beginning,
and very quickly it goes
has a
from.
Following, by the way, has a following.
Yeah,
That's
very
important.
quickly it goes from him being an accomplished pianist, doing this radio show, to we need to move where we're like they say, we're not allowed to have so much money in our homes to I have to walk on the gutter, now we have to wear these bands, and
it's
very
a similar
quickly
sentiment that we see in the first act of The Brutalist.
Yeah,
like accomplished architect becomes a guy who builds a bowling alley.
Yeah.
Like, it's this interesting kind of factor of like, you were this celebrated artist and now you're just another Jew in a ghetto. And you're stripped away of your status, you're stripped away of your talent, you're stripped away of your reason to live, right?
Yeah.
And even the musician at the end, the violinist, is like, you took my violin, you took my purpose, you stole my soul.
Yeah.
You know, that's what his character went through, quite literally, was diminished to dirt. And
I mean, it could have been a story of heroism,
right,
and a person who uses their what is it called? Like, they use their circumstance and the tools around them to save others and introduce characters, like similar to that restaurant owner who was hiding under the floorboards.
Yeah.
Remember that guy?
Oh yeah,
The story could have been about him.
Yeah, or
Taking
even the
in
simple
people.
fact that he was doing acts of heroism, if you think about it. But the way that this was shot and the way that his character was painted, for instance, this could have been all about the guns that they were importing for the revolution.
Yeah,
you know,
until a fight.
Yeah, he was a major part of that. He was the one collecting them from the goods, you know, like that's an act of like, you could paint a character to be like, he's the fucking hero, he helped it. No, they didn't. He was scared, he was in panic the whole time, he almost got caught several times. He also is in this position because he literally couldn't handle the physical work of the outside because he's a pianist. He never had to do hard labor.
Yeah,
you know, it's very interesting to again neutralize a character to a point where you want to root for him because you feel sorry for him.
Right.
You know, not necessarily because he's doing something heroic. But let's put it this way: when you meet or you talk or you hear interviews, and if you guys while we're on this topic, you guys should go watch A Real Pain. The Jesse Eisenberg, Kieran Culkin film. It's about two cousins going to visit their Polish grandmother's home before she left for the war, and they go visit a concentration camp in Poland.
Oh, sure.
To basically just like where their grandmother survived, and where she lived before she left to America, and how that translates into them having a future. And it's just a great story, but it's about these two goofball cousins who are like, we need some
I didn't know all this.
some grounding. And grandma was one of our favorite people in the world. Let's go visit that. Let's connect on that level. And again, it's not about this over-sensationalization of the Holocaust, because we already know how terrible that was. We have enough cinema, both in documentary and narrative, to have depicted that. And it'll never be enough. We always kind of have to remember that, right? Again, a big factor in history is you learn your history because if you're not, you're doomed to repeat it.
Yeah.
And that's what's important about making Holocaust films.
Yeah.
But this humanizes somebody so much that when you listen to the story of a Holocaust survivor, they're not these buff heroes who we went through it. They're like these frail old grandmothers or grandfathers, or just I was 14, and because I looked old enough, they didn't kill me and they used me for work labor. That's the reality, right? And I think they depicted his character very well in that sense, that he's not this hero.
Yeah.
He's just extraordinary because he made it through.
And when you look what the film tries to capture is the real story of time moves very fast.
Yeah.
We cover years.
And the not lingering on stuff in the cinematography, the quick fade outs pushes that forward, you know.
But a lot of this time passing, it's to capture the highlights in his own journey.
Sure.
Where there was
they are vignettes.
There were years that he was in a safe place. And that's why you saw his character go into some places. And
Didn't that make you feel, or both of you guys feel like that maybe puts you in a position where, oh shit, that could happen to me?
Yeah.
I always put myself in those situations.
It could happen to me. Again, he was just a normal dude doing his thing.
Yeah.
And then from one moment to the next, he just wasn't.
No, and I mean, the part I wanted to highlight was the moment when he was taken to like a safe house. Like he gets there and he's able to take off his shoes and lay in a bath, and he finally feels a sense of peace.
Oh, yeah.
And then the guy says, "Oh yeah, dude, my cover's blown. Like we got to get out of here." And he's like, "No, like, do
I'll just take my chances
like,
here, man."
I've gone through so much.
Yeah.
I just want to rest now. Like,
That's a
do I
heavy.
have to?" And then after that, it's like, well, you could choose to stay here, but it's
not,
your funeral. And I mean, in the movie, I think, is covering so many moments that were the catalyst for other events,
Sure.
to then the catalyst that he got lucky, because everything could have gone wrong at any point in time.
You're not wrong. It
That's
is
the-
luck, but I think that's the point. I think like the point is that
I'm just speaking out loud. The main thing was like, man, it's just he's a lucky guy, or I don't know.
or like how that's really
Yeah.
interesting to interpret. Is he a lucky guy? Do you believe in faith?
Yeah.
Is his faith as a Jewish person saving in this?
Oh,
point?
that's a
Is
whole
his
nother-
circumstance that he lost his family? Is the karma verse helping him because he didn't do anything wrong? I mean, there's just so much. I mean, granted, this is based on the real person. I know nothing about the person other than what the pianist says, but was he painted as too much of a good person?
Well, it's Hollywood, so we never know.
right?
Yeah.
Like the brother was painted as a dick, you know.
Yeah.
Also,
but he was painted as this like peacekeeper within the family, this like guy who, had it all figured out, quote unquote. This is a same name, obviously. This is Szpilman. Władysław?
Oh, this is the real guy.
This
Yeah.
is the real guy. And he wrote a book, told his story, and he got to see quite a bit of this get through. He died while they were in pre-production for the film. But it's just a really fascinating story. What do you give it, Delo?
Are we still doing the hot takes?
You're doing both. Right?
Hot take with a hot rating.
Yeah.
Hot take for this film.
You lost 30 pounds, brother.
And they shot the movie backwards.
Hot take
to fulfill
29.
Whoa, that's
What?
with his. Oh, what?
Hot take, he lost 29 pounds. I don't believe he lost 30. No,
You likes or you don't likes?
the hot take is going to be similar to yours, but I'm going to be a lot more generous with the rating. That I think the subject matter outweighs technique in some areas.
Oh shit. Okay.
So, I mean, there's some moments where I feel like the cinematography wasn't doing a lot for the film. But I also know that because of the subject matter and the story it's trying to cover, it didn't need to. And I think that, as a filmmaker, you can decide when to incorporate certain things, but again, knowing that that's going to embellish certain aspects of the story, or you're going to do something just to say, let me be as neutral as possible to allow other people to experience this.
Yeah.
This one, to me, after watching Roma, I feel like that's what I'm comparing everything to. Like, how much did the filmmaker feel like, let me let the audience decide what they want to see,
Yes.
and how much do I need to influence people? With this one, because it's so centered around Adrien Brody's character and his luck, it's obviously going to be a lot more fixated on him and what he's going through and the close-ups of the things he's interacting with.
That's
but
an
it's
interesting
because-
perspective. Let's hold there really quick.
Sure.
Why, just for shits and giggles,
Yeah.
have you guys ever seen a bad Holocaust film or one that wasn't compelling?
Yeah.
Which one?
I forgot the name because it was so boring. No, I'm joking. No, for sure not.
For sure not.
Yeah, like the one that I saw that at most could be said that it probably didn't have as much
pretty sure there
intentionality
is.
and production value was The Diary of Anne Frank. Like when I saw the movie
It was like a
adaptation,
TV movie, right?
yeah, it was like a TV movie and it was good, and they got a girl who looked very much like her.
Yeah.
And-
I'm just wondering because you posed the question like, does the subject matter automatically give you this boost in quality? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like this boost in depending on structure. You know that to expect a serious film out of this. To expect a subject matter that has to be watched and revered. You don't have to depend so heavily on technique to make people pay attention. They're going to naturally pay attention. I'm just wondering. I can't think of one that I'm like, that was a bad film.
Yeah, or like we watched a while back, but like last year's
Inglourious Basterds?
last year's Oscar winner, All Quiet on the Western Front.
Yeah.
Like that one had, I think, amazing technique,
Yeah.
but also the story was so heavy that if you had told it from any angle, it would have landed.
And I'm not trying to diminish that. It is a bit of a cheat code, though, isn't it? I mean, it's a bit of a cheat code.
But we do talk about other films, and I'll say they're probably your films. That no, like, whoa. No, not in a bad way, but a lot of times when we talk about like the movies that we've seen with Jim Carrey, that movie is saved and carried by Jim Carrey. Okay, so similarly to the way that we could say this one is saved by its story, I think there's certain aspect, like that's why there's so many different departments in filmmaking, and you can look at certain movies that are masters in that one department, but maybe fall short in other areas. I mean,
so what's your rating?
The rating, I'll do like an 8.9.
8.9.
It's still up there.
It's up there, but I wouldn't push it over a 9 because, like I said, I think the subject matter is so good, and the story of the guy is so good. I can't give it a low rating, but I also felt that there were some parts that could have been stronger. I agree with the color choice, but I never saw it shift enough to feel like they put a lot of intentionality into that. Once they found a profile they liked, they stuck with it.
That's interesting.
I'll battle that with this. At least,
Yeah.
The DP was trying to be very intentional in the color palette.
Yeah.
He was basically sucking the color out.
He was trying to keep it
as the film progressed.
Yeah.
Until you hit this peak, right, where he's playing the piano again in blue light. I mean,
like the vibrancy in his skin tone and everything comes back.
In his nose.
Yeah.
They were very specific about that. That was a choice to add red to his nose.
Add that to that hot take. Which is your favorite scene? Just before we go, because that's actually a good hot take.
My favorite scene?
Yeah, because I have a couple. Mine's the favorite one where he can't play the piano. I think that's when he notices, like, man, I can't even express myself.
He's just playing on top of it?
He's just playing on top of it.
Yeah.
I think mine's...
That hit me.
Mine's towards the very end. The two that are my favorite are when he's showing his hiding area to that German, and he's just holding on to this can of food.
Oh,
and
bro.
it's this like tense moment where, I mean, it's like he even says, he's kind of like, or later on he mentions to the guy, the captain, he says, "Oh, thank you for everything." And he's like, "Don't thank me, like, thank God, because if you're here, it's because he wants you to be here."
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. But when he has to show him around, and you see the absolute vulnerability in Brody's character, because, I mean, at this point,
he's like
many people...
It's like a shelter dog or something, like that.
But like,
he's just like...
So many people he's seen were very quickly, like, there was a girl early on who said, like, "Hey, I just want to ask, where are you taking us?" And then she gets shot right there and then. And it's like these people die like if they're nothing. They're like, they're ants that could just be stepped on and walked over.
That's what I was... My bad, yeah.
No, but you see that so much that when he gets caught, I think in his mind, he's kind of like, "I'll just show you what I have, because at this point, if you want to kill me, you're going to. Like, I have no control over that. And if you don't, I mean, I don't know how to thank you, because I've only seen a German come in and, do this." But he says, "No, just think, like, like to me."
So an 8.9.
And what a little bitch at the end when he gets caught. He's like, "Hey, you know this guy?"
Oh man, but like,
but that's also very compelling, man, because he did help him.
And it's also very true that...
No, he did help him. I mean, he did.
Yeah, he killed all the rest of the 100, but he saved you.
It's very true, because, I mean...
but people can have a change of heart. People can say that's why he helped him in the end.
We've seen...
know, but still, I'd be like...
We've seen movies like Come and See, and there's a lot of war films that depict that when their side's losing, the first thing they want to say is, "Oh, I was trying to do the right thing." Like, I think it's so fascinating that when you listen to like interviews, or when people talk about like prisoners of war, or people that they captured from like the losing side, they say, "Oh, I didn't want to do it, and they made me."
That wasn't his place.
Punish them.
The captain's position was, look,
I know.
Have we lost our humanity?
Yeah.
And that comes from him seeing him in the attic, in his hideout.
But I mean, you can't just be like, oh, okay, now I know what's going on.
No, because
fuck you still, dude.
No, because
but
he aided in the destruction of everything. But I mean, once they're losing, it's this last moment of like, well, what do I do? I mean, like at this point, is shooting you gonna help us? Is it gonna help the war?
It's also like an anger thing, right? If you're losing a war and you're in a top position and you're getting blamed for it potentially. You're probably going to shoot a guy like that just out of fucking anger, just out of like, fuck it, we're losing anyways, boom, we're done. He didn't. He decided to take a step back and said, have we lost our humanity? Are we on the wrong side of this thing?
I also think
I'd be like, thank you, but I'm still going to shoot you in the leg.
I think after the piano scene was... It's this moment where something so beautiful coming from somebody that...
Oh, yeah, that last scene.
Considered like... You know, scum of the earth.
Yeah.
I think in him, it's almost like this question of, like, why would I want to kill somebody who's brought something so beautiful to my ears in the world? So that's why afterwards, and not only does he not kill him, but he'll keep bringing food and he, like, keeps keeping him alive. Kind of like, don't worry, you'll be free in a couple of weeks. But, like, he's taking care of him because... There's that conflict of like at the end of the day, like I mean, I can't kill somebody who I found good in. If he was
but you also
that's
said the other part.
That's interesting.
What?
Where it's like, oh well, we're bound to get caught, so might as well get some.
No, but I mean,
with this guy.
I think they're bounty points for the universe.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. I think when you're at that point, you're at that point, you're kind of like
when we saw the All Quiet on the Western Front and True Battle, like that general was like, oh, we're about to lose. Well, screw it. Then
fuck it.
Last hour or last few minutes, go out there and start shooting. You know.
Well, if history shows you anything, the Germans quite literally they knew they were losing, and they burned the evidence. They tried to burn the evidence. They tried to burn down concentration camps as a whole.
Yeah, I do
so
that
when people locked them up, they didn't have any ground to stand on. Like, what do you mean? We didn't do anything. We didn't kill people or have work camps or no. Like they quite literally tried to burn the evidence.
Yeah.
And. Isn't that a version of this? Like this last guy, like
that's
this.
Exactly
Let's salvage the good that's left in the situation because there is no good left in the situation. I think that's interesting. I think
it is.
that's an interesting also mini arc for this captain, right? Like, sure, you're captured, you're in the fence, you don't know what's going to happen to you. I'm going to test my luck here. Do I get those karma points back?
Yeah.
You know?
Before you go to your rating. Do you think, now that I'm thinking about it, do you think that guy gave him his coat?
His coat?
His
Nah.
I don't think knowing.
Okay. Yeah, because I know. He was being good. He was bringing up.
That dumbass shouldn't have worn it walking out. That was
I was going to say my second favorite moment is the part where it's like, well, why the jacket? He's like, it's cold.
I'm cold.
Oh, that was awesome. And then
that's again also this vulnerability thing of like, I'm cold. Like,
but
I'm not
it didn't go through your head just for a split second, like maybe.
No, you're just
because
not very
also
trusting,
like,
dude.
there's a beauty in watching a film that talks about a character from this perspective. If he was too heroic, I think a lot of people would have wanted to admire him and see him, but he would have been this thing of myth and legend. But when you see a character who does heroism in the most simple acts he can, which is like, hey, you're going to carry guns and then you're going to chuck them occasionally like over a fence. Like those simple actions of heroism are so big, but because they're small also at the same time, seeing his vulnerability allows the audience to place themselves inside.
Let's not make a mistake. Make no mistake. Oscar Schindler celebrated for his heroism.
Because he was doing like...
Yeah.
But somebody
playing
like
the books.
Spielman is celebrated for his bravery. Or not Oscar Schindler, but Holocaust survivors are celebrated for their bravery. Period. They got through it.
Yeah.
However they did it. I mean, look, most people don't know this about Roman Polanski, but Roman Polanski, this story is very personal to him because he escaped the ghettos after they killed his mother.
Yeah.
Wow.
He was in there. So he does have some perspective of this. I think he escaped the ghetto when he was like 7. You know, so he has memories of this. You know, he had to flee, and he to my knowledge, he didn't make a film in Poland, where he's from, until The Pianist. You know, he didn't go back there to make cinema
until
The Pianist. And again, that's bravery, right? To get through it. However you get through it. If you're a kid escaping, usually, and that's why I think there's a difference. Because when you talk about a hero, if he's running away, he's not a hero.
Right.
Yeah.
But if someone who's brave is running away, they're just trying to escape. They're trying to get through. If running away was the bravery, escaping was the bravery, he's being celebrated for his bravery.
Did you catch the the animated shorts with me last year? The one with the pig and the...
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But something like that, there's this short
It's
animated...
like this Western voice, the Sam Elliott voice narrating. No,
Oh, he's a perfect guy to
it was the one
voiceover.
with the pig.
which one?
It was the one where there's an old man who comes into a classroom and he's talking to these young kids, but he's a Holocaust survivor.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And then, what
and
happens-
he has to sleep with the pigs to hide.
Yeah,
When they
but,
come looking for him in the barn.
I think in
Yeah.
the Jewish culture, the swine are
Swine
considered
are, yeah.
they're considered dirty.
Yeah, for sure.
But it was a very interesting story because he says something that in our religion we're taught to hate and avoid ended up being the thing that saved me,
them.
and it was the same kind of empathy that swine gave to me. I had to find a way to give to the Germans.
Yeah.
Who they look at me like I'm nothing, and
I'm a swine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but I mean, all that to kind of say that, and every story that you hear of a survivor is always this kind of moment of you had to experience the absolute worst in society and in people, and a whole group of people looking at you like you're vermin, and somehow, despite all odds being against you, you overcame it. All that to kind of say that with this story, it doesn't need to be a heroic story of people
I know.
pushing through and fighting off some big bad villain, because
There's a lot of that.
the humanistic
There's not
heroism of surviving the worst situation imaginable, it should be more than enough.
It's bravery within itself. Yeah. Do you want you want me to go next, or do you want Eric or?
Well, if Eric goes
I'll go
next,
next.
I don't know if we can switch to him.
Yeah, you're right. I don't even know which camera we're on.
I think we're on the wide.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna try to
You want to put it on me?
bing bong boom it?
Oh, bro. Austin is going to come and tackle you, bro.
Oh, okay. Just everybody know, producers
Producers
Dude,
live
I am
switching
not
the
going to stick
board.
up for you, dude. I am
producers
immediately
jumping in,
pointing the
live
finger at
switching.
you.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Oh.
Dang. Oh, okay.
All right. So
He's adding the little star
So,
fades.
Eric, CK, what's your hot take
What,
and your
did you switch to your camera?
hot rating?
Oh, you're on this. Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
so I have a hot take for this one.
You don't think he was Jewish?
Adrien Brody is Jewish and Polish.
Both.
Is in The Brutalist, he's basically trying to emulate his grandfather,
Who is?
was Polish.
Polish?
And, yeah. So there's some authenticity there.
Yeah.
My hot take on this one is that it does not get better with age.
It does not get better with age. That's fair.
In what sense?
I agree.
In the sense that I feel like a lot of the shots, a lot of the blocking choices at the time were phenomenal, and they've led a lot of the old school, well now we call it old school, cinematography choices, but
Yeah.
now it's kind of just become
Coverage.
yeah, basically just coverage at that point.
It's very mellow. I mean, the most you get as far as experimental coverage is when we have those POV shots looking through windows and all that. But those I think are relatively tame, and there's so much more that could have been done in the composition and framing. And again, I think I don't know if you agree, but it's almost a matter of the story mattering more than some of the other elements in film. I almost feel like even though they shot this one very sharp, I would have forgiven it if at times the camera goes out of focus and we have to hunt for Brody a little bit.
Sure.
And you had a lot of handheld shots. But even then, they didn't feel like they were becoming too like they didn't take too many risks. It was like the story's going to happen. The story's going to be beautiful and gorgeous, and
maybe
it's going to be rough. Yeah, exactly.
They didn't have to.
It's going to be a very like intense movie. Why spend extra time trying to craft it in this way? You know, when we can just. Yeah, when we can just kind of like share what's there.
I agree with you though, Eric. I think that I think that I was a little afraid of this having a Walter Mitty effect to an extent.
Yeah,
because I saw it a lot growing up, and I remember seeing it in high school a lot, and I remember seeing it in college a lot, and it was always this like gradually amazing thing. Like, oh man, yeah, it's The Pianist. It's terrific. And then the more you dive into Roman Polanski cinema, it's like, interesting. But I do think that I've come down to the conclusion personally that though Roman Polanski deserves his place in cinema, he's not doing anything extraordinary in any one of his films. I mean, the closest I got to that is like Rosemary's Baby. Rosemary's Baby is doing something. I think in Rosemary's Baby he did something extraordinary, but. Chinatown, as much as I love it, it's this classic noir film. It's this noir.
Yeah.
I don't want to call it formulaic because it's not, but if there's anybody who's lucky in this situation, it's Roman Polanski because he's not doing anything unconventional to tell a story. He's just telling good stories. He knows what good story is. He's telling a good story. So I agree. I think that as this film ages, it still sits on a pantheon of war films, on a pantheon of Holocaust films, definitely. But there will come a time where this film, cinematically, will be in the back of the list.
But I mean, if this film was shared for the rest of time, and maybe even like one of the first films they show somebody to capture a period in time. It would be justified beyond reason, you know?
This film, in the best way possible, is a Holocaust museum piece.
Yeah.
It deserves a big display in the Holocaust Museum.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Of cinema, if you will. If cinema's the Met, and you have a section at the Met that's the Holocaust, it deserves the biggest kind of display at that portion of cinema.
Next to Schindler's List.
Next to Schindler's List. But maybe above it. But you're right. No, but I think that's as far as it goes.
Yeah.
In terms of cinema, full all of cinema. I don't know. I agree. I think there's a touch of this Walter Mitty effect.
No, I think
for me.
Yeah,
for me.
So what's the hot rating for this from CK, the new member? The new Shillong.
You know what I want to see is Sophie's Choice. I just saw Meryl Streep's face.
Sophie's Choice.
Never seen Sophie's Choice.
I've never seen Sophie's Choice either. I heard it's a banger. My old roommate Alan and I, we used to always reference it. Like whenever,
shout out to Alan.
60 most moving Holocaust films. Or 10. Keep it 10.
Let's give it 10.
But real quick. Your rating.
So my rating on this one, I gotta say, only because like it's a classic I kind of grew up on. It's fucking weird to grow up on that, but it is.
Yeah. Bedtime story film.
VHS.
100%. I gotta give it a 7.9.
Oh man, fair.
7.9.
I feel too generous now.
What did you give it?
I haven't given it anything.
What are you about to give it?
What about you give it?
Fast and Furious.
I'm closer to an 8.1, 8.2.
See?
Only because
that makes sense.
As a director,
I'm learning.
We can call Roman Polanski whatever we want, and we can obviously say that cinematically he's not doing anything necessarily extraordinary.
Especially now, like
the fact that he can draw out the performances that he does is already impressive within itself. The three films we listed, Chinatown, that's one of Jack Nicholson's best performances. Mia Farrow in Rosemary's Baby. We've talked about that. So I think that at the very least, Roman Polanski knows how to direct actors.
Yeah.
That's that much we have to admit. So I have to give it merit there. I think that's why I said at an 8.1. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
I feel like I rated too high. Like, I feel like...
No, I mean...
You feel like you rated it too high?
Yeah, because I wanted to go lower, but then I was like, maybe I'm missing something.
It's also your first time watching it, so that's a fair rating.
We could always change it, because, I'm usually the only guy that changes it.
No, but I mean, I feel like, so again, it's, even like you were talking about, Eric, it's aging. It has a very It has the texture of an early 2000s film. I'm looking at I'm looking at it still right now, and those high
if you know,
hair lights.
They shoot this on film.
If you know, the very deep focus, also that color. God, there's a lot that they did that it dates itself for where cinema was at that time.
185.
Oh yeah, they shot these on Zeiss lenses,
They shot it on celluloid.
And then they filmed on location too, or
they filmed in
some.
Yeah, they filmed in certain situations in Poland.
Yeah,
but they did shoot in backlots.
Oh, okay.
In Germany.
Okay,
in general. Still. So yeah, I mean, again, he can't leave the country. Roman Polanski can't just magically come to Universal Studios and take over the backlot.
What year did he kind of become
1979?
Oh, really?
80.
Rosemary.
Yeah, maybe before that. I mean,
which one was
this? Was post 69. 69 is when they killed his wife.
Oh, the sexual abuse thing.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, 77. You see, 69 is when they killed Sharon Tate and his unborn baby, and then he gets accused in 77.
Dude, I forget.
And then, by the way, he doesn't.
I forget. Yeah.
He doesn't get kicked out. By the way, he flees the country. He moves to France.
Yeah.
So again, he's just. And there's been various times that Interpol has been trying to get him extradited. Countries are working hard to get this motherfucker extradited, and he's been very strategic to not do so, including making his films. He just did another film, and so did Woody Allen, by the way, of French cinema. They've just been making films in France because they just can't come to the States.
Oh, really?
I mean, Woody Allen's not really quite in that place yet, but his last film was French. He made a French film. But that's what I mean about Polanski is he didn't really have a choice.
This is his last one? 2003, The Palace?
Yeah.
Oh, with this guy, Mickey Rourke?
2023.
Yeah.
I mean, The Pianist.
But they did shoot it, on location-ish.
I'm glad I watched it. Austin.
Rating?
What is your hot take on this film from Polish?
Soft 8.
See?
I was also questioning some of the editing choices because I do like the...
It was good.
No, I like the coverage of... what is it called?
Oh, man.
The statue.
Streets,
and they did 3 shots of the statue. One where it was at its peak, one where it's still there, but it's crumpled, and the other one where it's on the floor. Mm-hmm. But each of those had different times on how much they would linger on the shot. The first one lingered there a lot.
Well, I wondered...
The second one was half a second, and the last one was a second and a half.
I noticed in one of the scenes where his character is terribly sick, and the doctor comes and visits him, and there was a hat on the table, and then there wasn't a hat on the table, and that hat belonged to the doctor who had already exited the frame, and then now the hat doesn't exist when they cut to a close-up.
He did.
And I think that I don't know that this was intentional, but I could justify it that's just how his character's processing what's happening, in skips because of how sick he is.
If that's the case, I just feel like it wasn't communicated well. And also,
I mean, it's one scene. It's one small scene.
No, it wasn't communicated well. And then also, if it was that, it's something that should have been a little bit clearer in its introduction and its use. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But that comes down to, again, you forgive those things, or you forgive continuity errors and stuff like that. I would have forgave it if it went more experimental with the cinematography, because the story's so good, it'll carry it.
Yeah.
So you almost, I almost feel in a way,
love what Come and See did.
Yeah, and I mean, I know that Adrien Brody didn't have the they didn't know that he was going to produce this well of a performance. But I think if, let's say, you had worked with him later on, like we're seeing in The Brutalist, and he's going to give you what you need, and that the story is going to be good, and you have that much confidence, I would have taken more risk.
Yeah.
This one felt like
this thing?
More risk if you knew what he's...
Hey, I'm curious because we were so crazily shocked that The Brutalist had a $10 million budget.
How much is this one at? 15?
I don't know. That's what I'd like to find out.
Because I want to say... quick guess. I'm going to say...
I'll say 30.
75.
I say 25.
35. All right.
You were
And
close.
it grossed 32. It bombed.
It bombed?
No. It
No.
grossed
How could it bomb if it
120,
won?
Oh.
It made a lot of money. It was very successful. But
CK, what was your favorite scene? Real quick.
Of the whole movie?
No, just the first part, I guess.
Was it when he's like flicking off the beans from the potatoes or whatever?
that sounded dirty.
Flicking the beans?
Yeah, you linger a little on the flicking.
Also, potatoes don't have beans. There's no beans.
Sprouts,
The
jackass.
sprouts, bro. But anyway, which one?
I'm trying to like live TD this hoe as well. It's pretty fun. Honestly, you and I share the same favorite scene. Every single time, like all the times I've seen this movie.
Where he can't
every
express
single
himself
time.
with the fucking panel. He could just.
Imagine as a creative, that's the biggest prison. Like,
Ooh,
you have
well put.
the whole candy bar, like the whole candy jar right in front of you, and you can't take a bite forever. Not just for one day, not just for 1 hour, but for basically your life is at stake if you take a bite. You know?
And you can only think like, man, I screw it.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
Yeah, it's the embodiment of irony because either one, you live fully for like 1 day until they catch you, or you just allow yourself to like keep living. But
exactly.
like even
Is that really living?
in a sentiment that he describes, which I think embodies that scene well, is that he's telling the guy like, "Hey, I need more food," and it's like, "Well, I can only get you what I can get based off of how much money I have." And he's like, "Well, here, take my watch. Like, food's more important than time." You know, and it's kind of like, I don't know how much food's going to buy me, but it's better than, you know, just waiting to die, you know, like.
It'd be
And then
cool
you
if you
go
could
back
add
to-
those little scenes on the thing, Austin. It'd be cool.
And then you go back to later what happened with that guy. He screwed him. He used his name and he kept the money for it and all the
Oh,
donations.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, but yeah, going back to like the whole favorite scene, yeah, that one has to take it by far.
Yeah.
There's a couple of other ones. Oh, Carlos, which was your favorite scene? It doesn't have to be beautiful. It could be like when he's walking and he sees the children and it's like.
I will say there is a lot of the framing and production design. Again, I'll give Roman credit where it's due.
Yeah.
When he's walking through all the emptiness,
Towards the
you
end?
know, like we see shots of the luggage that's just empty. There's no one attached to this luggage, and he's walking through all of that
There?
death. That, I mean, look at this.
Dude, that's
You
a
know,
shot.
like that's what I'm saying. Like those are really interesting kind
You
of
gotta put
moments
that
for
Austin if
me.
you can, if you have a chance.
They're really interesting moments for me, and they're really interesting scenes. And again, just him walking literally by corpses, and it all being so fresh.
And not
you know, he
fully
just lost his family,
And not fully balling out. It's just he's Birdie taking it in.
He's just like processing, and even
Yeah.
when he gets under the stage with the restaurant owner, and he's like, "What happened?" You know, he's like, "All of them." Like,
Yeah, and he can't-
he
he's in
can't
shock.
even. You know, so that's interesting.
He can't even cry.
I'd say that those are notable moments. My
getting
favorite. Look
shivers.
at this emptiness. That's what I'm saying. Like the
Towards
framing
the end, yeah.
and the scale of this to be able to
The
show
ghettos.
the emptiness and the lonely person. There's only one person. You know, it's really interesting to me. So kudos to Polanski for that. I will say my favorite scene is the most cliched one.
Which one?
The last scene, or the scene where he plays the piano for the officer.
Goes all
That's
out.
always been the one that sticks out for me because.
The stakes.
Well, the
Oh, no, not
stakes
really.
and the beauty in it.
The
you know,
beauty
the
of it,
beauty
yeah.
of number one, getting to a point where you just don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
There we
That's
go.
that's
That's
your
more-
bottom line. That's your, you know, I just don't give a fuck. I have no more beauty in my life. I'm going to play this thing because it brought me so much joy.
There's also,
and then
like-
having like the moment of the officer to just take off his cap and kind of sit back and be like, go ahead. You
I'm
know,
your
like
audience right now.
I'm your audience, and I'm, you know.
No, also, when you listen to the piano in
Nails
that
it.
moment, there's so many times where it sounds like it's coming to an end.
Yeah, and he doesn't want it to end.
But yeah, it was these like dips where it gets quiet and then comes back and it sees like punches of fury of like one more.
Yeah,
Don't end here.
And that's Chopin.
he doesn't
you
want
know,
it
he's
to
playing
end.
Chopin,
Yeah.
and it's I just that scene always gets to me. It's just a very kind of special moment. I would assume like even when we see the soldier watching guard outside and almost listening from his perspective, he's playing so loud. And how, you know, everybody can hear this. You know?
Yeah.
And it's almost battling the sound of gunshots. Oh. You know, it's
sound
combating
in
the
this-
negative. It's combating the
If I'm not
the
mistaken-
ugliness, you know.
If I'm not mistaken,
Well, look at that shot,
Look
man.
at that
Like
shot.
this is what I'm
That's
saying.
where everybody
This
was
is-
waiting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about the sound? I mean, obviously there was no big score, but
I mean, it was Chopin. It was again.
Obviously, towards the end,
all of it. No, every piece of music he's playing is Chopin for the most part. He did a couple of quote unquote originals in there, but that's the soundtrack. That's why we don't hear it. Again, Schindler's List, tons of soundtrack. John Williams coming in on that bitch like, yo, you know what I mean? Or was it John Williams? I think he didn't work with John Williams on that one. I could be wrong.
I'm not really familiar with who.
But he's coming in on a score. I'm gonna, you know, I'm gonna make this rise in certain situations. But this is like the lack of music is what breaks your heart.
Yeah, the silence.
The lack of soundtrack. The lack, you know, that's very effective. I like that.
Yeah, the sound was. It was in. It's not been brought up a lot, but I think it was a big deal about it.
Yeah, I dig it.
Would you say it was fun?
No.
Yeah, you have fun with this one.
I can't imagine anybody saying this was fun.
Yeah, but I think again, there's
it's a good
movies.
Ride.
There's
it's
movies.
A ride. Period.
Yeah, there are movies that are meant to take you on a journey, and again, I'd use ride a little bit more for that, like you follow a hero and you go through the hero's journey and all that. And this one was more like just a silhouette or a vignette of a difficult time.
of a person.
Yeah. Like, to me, I feel like this embodies what all art and photographs of that time were trying to do, which is say, I want to give you the lens of what it felt like to be there. Because
and I like the fact, I like when...
And no sugarcoating, man. Some of these scenes were brutal.
Holocaust films or stories, again, I like when they don't come out the other side like, and then he invented Google or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He went back to play piano at the radio, just like he said he would. That's what truly brought him joy. That's what probably gave him a sense of normalcy again. And that's really special to be able to, again, humanize him that way, not like... He went on to be a concert pianist. We do see some of that success. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
A stage and a full orchestra and him in his element. That's beautiful. But the more impactful scene is when he's back in the radio and his buddy's like, hey, can I talk to you about something? Like, that's, again, seeing that come full circle was really good. And to kind of add to that, Adrien Brody really went method for this in a sense. Like, in order to get into this character, he abandoned his apartment. He sold his car. He
isolated from his friends.
He got rid of his cell phone. He wanted to get into the headspace of this. Like, he wanted to feel what it meant to lose something.
So much that after he did the role, it took him like a couple of months. I think half
just
a year
to get back into Adrien Brody's head. You know. That's good, man. Again, that's something there. So
that's much respect.
I'll also say that to touch on his performance, there's something really special about film and an actor being able to give you a performance where you can experience all the pain and the suffering that they're going through.
Yeah.
But due to his stoicism and silence through it all, it gives place for you to put your own voice into his performance.
Definitely.
Like, you didn't hear him talk a lot because the character wasn't able to talk a lot. Yeah. But every time you would see his eyes and you would see his movements, you could throw yourself in that position, like being like thirsty or hungry or.
I think a lot
like,
about the artists that you talked about in Rosemary's Baby, the paintings, of the. There were some satanic paintings, obviously. And all that stuff,
is it for Francisco Goya?
Francisco Goya.
Oh.
I think a lot about Francisco Goya's paintings.
Can you look up Francisco Goya
in relation
Black Series?
to the appearance and the emotion that he's communicating just in
that's
appearance,
a really, really beautiful way to...
And like by the end of it, like his most famous one, obviously, the one with the old man and the gray hair. I forget what it's called, but go down.
Yeah, Saturn devouring his child.
Yeah, tell me that doesn't look like Adrien Brody's character in the end of it, right? The beard and the long hair and just the droopy eyes and
you could type in Saturn devouring his child.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, it's just again, there's just a sense of like.
The second one.
Where is my life? And again, this painting is representing something totally different. But
but I
think about the loss of humanity, which is what this painting is really, really going after, and his loss of humanity, but in the most a harrowing way.
Yeah.
The most harrowing way. And again, I could care less. Again, and this is coming from a guy who likes dialogue and likes dialogue being delivered.
Same.
This guy could have said nothing the entire film, and I would have felt every emotion that he's going through. That's hard. That's hard to do as an actor. I mean, you can vouch for that. Like, it's much harder to have a character who doesn't say anything and has to communicate everything through visuals than to have a character who can speak his way through something.
That other medium,
I think Adrien Brody brought that in spades in this character. Like, he, again, comparatively, Daniel Day-Lewis in Gangs of New York, that dialogue is genius. And for him to be able to deliver that dialogue is a talent in and of itself. But to draw that back, you know, and I think that's why Brody won the Oscar, because it's when you can do that, it's hard, man. It's so hard.
He did a good job.
The droopy eyes and the fallen face and the fallen jaw. I mean, like, that's hard.
Also,
But compared to
all
Daniel Day-Lewis,
no, but I think also the subtlety of the changes of his expression with every interaction. I mean, like from one moment to the next, and I mean, you can place yourself in his shoes, where, like, when people come in through your door, you're like, oh, hey, it's good to see you. Like, what have you been up to? And, like, at first he has that meet cute with the girl where it's kind of like, oh, man, I wish I had met you sooner and all that. To later on, if he sees any face, every face feels scary. Every face feels dangerous. Everything requires that pause of, like, is today my last day? You know?
This film was, it won for best adapted screenplay, right?
I didn't read anything like that. Did it?
3 wins: leading role,
writing for adapted
screenplay.
Okay,
I mean, I think we've mentioned story and just how well it does that, and performance, obviously, but the beats of this film, the fact that he does this meet cute with this woman, and then this later pregnant woman, same woman, ends up kind of helping her husband. You know, this was almost his only opportunity at love, his only shot at love. She's not Jewish. She doesn't have to go through this. So they have to part ways, and he gets to encounter her again with child, and almost grovel. You know, almost be like, I need help. I know we once saw each other as equals who are attracted to each other,
also,
but now I need your help.
Desperate.
Oh man, it's just, again, the screenplay is really well done. Really well done. All those beats work really well.
You were thinking that you went a little too high heat. Does it change?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I love the story, and I feel like, again, this will live on a pantheon, or at least it'll live in the museum, talking about the Holocaust in this period of time, and giving everybody insight into what the worst of humanity was at that time, and what people suffered through. And I mean,
for sure,
right now we're hitting an age where like, we're losing survivors just because of how much time has passed, and because of that, those stories don't live on it through their voice. Now it lives on through pieces of cinema like this. It lives on through photos. I mean, and that's why I think it's so important, and we're seeing so many films that are coming out talking about this era. Last year, we were talking about Zone of Interest, and very interesting take on it, on the
very interesting cinematic techniques, no story.
Yeah. But again, it's
sounds, though.
It's meant
me.
Sounds, though. Sounds are pretty good.
I will go 10 rounds with all of you guys if you ever say that again. Trust
Zone
me.
of Interest?
Hold me back. I'm a fan. Look, me and my roommate, we got fucking blasted and watched the movie.
Violently.
You already lost points there, bro.
Yeah.
Nah, you man, you gained some points over here.
You got exactly. John Eric gets it. You guys need to understand. Like,
you gotta get into the movie, bro.
You get to see it through a different perspective.
Exactly,
like,
bro. You feel it.
I'm gonna get you a VR for Christmas.
I know, like I need 2 ratings from you. I need the sober rating, and then I need the
Exactly.
Nah, bro.
I'll give you
the way you saw it.
I watched Dallas Buyers Club that way, and I'll say that turned into, it went from like a 9
superhero movie.
Yeah, it went from like a 9.3 like a 15.
America show.
Like, it went to like a 15 out of a scale of 2, because that movie was like the superhero of AIDS combating like society.
Never heard that before, but
yeah,
it makes
I know,
perfect
he was
sense.
like a superhero. It was crazy.
We don't make anything better, man.
McConaughey like hugged me. Yeah, like, so.
Have you ever seen The Moon on
Yeah, no, I like that's one I need to like give a rating sober, because I mean, that's like,
Zone
you know.
of Interest and its attempt was trying to do something interesting, and the juxtaposition of the museum to the family next door, whatever.
Yeah,
that's fine, but the story was not there, bruh.
No, literally,
the execution was.
And again, oh my god, it feels so like I have words to describe it now. But Zone of Interest feels like the Roma for a Holocaust film. You know, it felt very held back. It was just trying to give you the view of it, but it wanted to give you nothing else. It's like you form your own opinion.
It was terrorizing the sounds. The sounds for sure. Once you understand what's going on, but that's as far as.
But that's all it's trying to do. It's just trying to say like we're gonna throw the camera here and let them live their life, so you could see the life of people who worked for the camps. And I mean. It didn't try to say let's humanize them. It didn't try to say let's show you moments that make them.
It was trying to do something really special.
Yeah, it was just saying accept that this is what was going on. You know, this is what we were thinking. This is what they were like.
Right now.
And again, there's a lot of Holocaust films that I think cover what it was like living through that. And I mean, there's films that describe what the battlefields were like, what Auschwitz was like. You know,
that's the special thing about cinema. We can go by square inch of what this thing looked like and get a different perspective. That's the beautiful thing about cinema. That's why I say Holocaust movies are never going to go away.
Also,
there's so much to say about it still. You know.
Also, movies like this and performances like this, I think, are what humanize moments in history that otherwise would have been lost. And I mean, that's where we never want to like lose them again.
Absolutely.
We want to always recognize that. Events like these and people that were affected, like it's.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Name me a character from Zone of Interest.
That's a good one.
Because they're not memorable characters.
So
they're memorable situations.
The dog. You know, there was the girl in the infrared. Planting the shot.
Cool. But you just remember her because it was infrared.
One thing that I will say, though, about Zone of Interest is one of my favorite parts was that.
I can't either, by the way. I'm not trying to knock you. I can't name a fucking character from that film.
The river one.
But that's the thing. Is it...
That's not fair.
Fräulein?
Oh, yeah.
The very gripping thing about the Zone of Interest was that... It's very much like it's a movie. It doesn't have a story.
Wow.
That's a take. That's a hot take right there.
That's a hot take right there. It's a hot take. Not a book. It's a movie. Now, honestly, in that sense, that's exactly what I mean. It's not a book. It's a movie. It doesn't need a story. It doesn't need too many characters. They are historically correct characters, but through the filmmaking, through that sense of, fuck it, we're going to just put the cameras, we're going to set everything up, let it roll, step back for an hour or two, let the actors figure it out in their own sense. What more could you ask for a filmmaking experience if you don't have a story? It's still told exactly the same topic that we're covering right now with the Pianist.
I also know that it just feels. You know what Zone of Interest felt like, and this is the last thing I'll say about it because we're trying to wrap up the episode, right? But the last thing I'll say about Zone of Interest, and you can go catch our last Oscar previews episode if you want to hear more about it. But the last thing I'll say about your take, my take, our take, this land is your land, this land is my land, about Zone of Interest is this. It just felt like. You know how somebody will make a film or a little doc or a little commercial about the Holocaust Museum? It just felt like sweeping shots of that. With no substance. You know what I'm saying? Like to me, it just felt like.
But that's another thing. Is it the next time you guys watch it, which I really hope you guys do.
I love this guy. He's fighting for it.
Go into every single shot. Look at the subtext behind it.
Oh, I know.
Listen to the screams.
I know. There's
and
more.
That's the beauty of cinema.
But again, it's subtext that we've known since the 8th grade, right? Like. My 8th grade history textbook gave me that subtext. The film didn't, other than the sound design.
But another thing is when you step into the movie and you see it through a perspective from that perspective, it almost, in a sense, humanizes what shouldn't be. Yeah. To put it like bluntly.
Sure. Yeah.
Like watching that movie, I grew up in Georgia. My dad had like a management job, so watching that movie, I could as his kid, I could relate to it, seeing how he walked through the space with all his other employees, how they looked up to him, how he was always bringing work home, how he was with my mom, and seeing it in that perspective, it made it more. It made me really think like this is more than just that. It made me also think about
they
the
were going through their own shit too.
About like the employment going on, and that to me is something. As you guys are saying, it did that without a story.
I'll argue.
So to me, that's kind of why it strikes.
That's
the heart.
I'll argue that
you're wrong, but it's okay.
I'll argue that it does not. It's not trying to humanize them as much as show you why a situation perpetuated itself. And I think the big question that happens with a lot of people is like, if you were seeing, like, let's say a person suffering every day and knowing that you were somehow behind the suffering, why wouldn't you stop that? And I think Zone of Interest, all it was trying to do was say, this is what they experienced, which allowed suffering to continue.
That's what I think is just, and I'm going to go to extremes to emphasize your point. To me, it just feels like, well, I got in a fight with the wife last night. Let's burn 10 of them. Like I'm gonna take my home situation and all the stress I have there and take it to work and you fuel it, and vice versa. I'm gonna take all the bullshit I'm going through at work and bring it home and talk shit to my wife about cooking me eggs in the morning. Like, it's just like, you know what I'm saying?
Because at most, it's
I'm
trying
like, I'm on Gaston's boat with that. Like, fuck that guy. Like,
I guess the best way that I can kind of like clarify my perspective is, when you look at the Zone of Interest, you see the day-to-day life of everybody. You know, there's not really much of a story, but you do see how the characters are going throughout their situation.
Yeah.
What does it remind you of? Because I don't know about you guys. To me, it reminds me of the American Dream, which kind of holds the biggest mirror to our United States society right now.
Well, more than the American Dream, because the American Dream is very specific towards working to gain better opportunity. I would say that this is trying to be the model of, as long as it's not, but they themselves aren't pushing for growth. Because if you remember, the wife herself, she's pushing for, I love this place and I love consistency. And as the guy is saying, like, I can get you a better job, but we have to move. And she's like, no, I love my home and my security.
What? I'm not thinking about the American Dream. I'll be honest with you. I'm thinking about
Jewish annihilation.
Oh, yeah, but I'm thinking about, like, a lord in the UK finding their kingdom and being content with that and building that out. I'm not thinking of
I'm with that a
land of opportunity. I'm thinking of, like, this is my land and I will grow my garden and set my pool like this.
Okay. But that's the wife's perspective. The guy,
Michael, what did you say in the beginning of your
the Lord
point?
created the heaven and the earth?
No.
That it's not on it humanizing them, or that it's meant to be a static.
The beginning of the point that you just made right now.
That the American dream is about progress and fulfillment through career and stuff like that.
So my argument is, what's the difference between that and
they moved his ass
and the kingdom?
Like, if there's any sense of the American dream, is they moved his ass to a better position.
It's exactly that. Like, what are you willing to sacrifice in order to get into a better position? And
but he's at a good.
He's at a good sacrifice, though.
No, he's at a good position now. The thing is that where he's at now, that's where they want. I feel like it's more a conversation on the perpetuation of a lifestyle than it is progress, because
I think it's drawing parallels. I can see what you're saying. It's drawing parallels to a working man, and he has to make a choice on
you also have to
uprooting his family once again. I get it.
You also have to ask, who is this meant to be? Because, or who is it meant to be shown to? I feel like this was given to a worldwide audience. Mm-hmm. It was given to a big German audience to really view and kind of like reflect on, hey, think about your normal home life and everything you do right now. This is what they did.
Yeah.
But their idea of perpetuating the normal was to perpetuate suffering that other people told them, as long as you keep doing this, you'll be fine. You'll have a nice home. You'll be taken care of.
As long as you meet the quota of how many you killed today, we'll give you. There's a nice bonus in it for you.
And I mean, I think then it becomes a conversation of like, are you able to find complacency in suffering, and are you able to find your own little like stable ground to stand on?
That's a commentary on that. Sure.
Like, I think it's a more human level, you know? But I think if you were to have this channeled into the human experience, or not the human experience, but the American dream, there's a lot of parallels when it comes to patriotic spirit, loving an identity of your own culture.
Yeah, you see, there's the parallel, for sure. All right, The Pianist.
Back to The Pianist.
Back to Pianist.
Well, yeah, my rating doesn't change. I'll leave it at about an
Stay
8.1
weird,
or so.
human
I'm going to
Penis.
go to 8.5. There is merit in Brody, insane merit in Brody. But as far as the filmmaking techniques, I think they're so supported by the story that it's not anything that I feel is going to push cinema forward like past what it did.
Don't punch us, Eric. Yeah, I agree. Go watch it if you haven't. Naturally, hopefully you made it by the end of this episode and did
also
watch it. But
tell us how we're wrong.
tell us how you feel about it. We do think it's got something to say, despite how you may feel about Roman Polanski or not. He won an Oscar for this, and
There's a reason
he
for
couldn't
it. There's a
get
reason
the
for it.
Oscar, so Harrison Ford had to present it to him 4 months later. But at a film festival in
Really?
Europe, because he couldn't accept it. He couldn't come out here to accept his Oscar.
Next week.
But next week we'll be continuing our we'll be bridging into our Oscar preview episode by talking about our Oscar snub for 2025.
I heard
That's
Austin
a
say
the
that.
97th Academy Awards. Luca Guadagnino. He's getting boned by the Academy this year because, you got a ton of respect for Call Me By Your Name. And then he does Challengers, no love. And then he does Queer, no
Did
love.
he get no respect for calling me for
No, he did. I'm saying that's the last time he kind of got respect.
Oh, I was going to say, whoa.
Anything past that, it's like
Okay, yeah.
the Academy's like, nah, we're good.
Yeah, we're good.
And Austin feels strongly that it is a big snub for editing, and I agree.
I mean, we got Emilia Perez in there. Get the...
Yeah. So, yeah. What the fuck? Okay, yeah. Tune in next week. We'll be screening and talking about Challengers, starring
My ex.
your ex.
Yeah.
Why your ex?
Zendaya?
Zendaya, bro. Holland, you suck.
Zendaya, Mike Feist, Josh O'Connor, in the terrific film that's based on a French New Wave film that I'd love to talk to you guys about on the next episode. Jules and Jim. Go watch Jules and Jim. It's a great double feature with Challengers, and we could talk about that. So next week we'll do that, and then finally we'll bridge into our long Oscar previews episode where we'll open up and talk about why or Emilia Perez deserves or doesn't deserve to be on that list.
Penis,
why Honora is just a phenomenal piece of film by Sean Baker. Why The Brutalist is very likely to sweep everything. It's just...
Even the complete
and also
Even the complete unknown.
One thing I do like
And the
about
complete
our
unknown,
Oscar episode is that for a lot of people who have not had the chance to see every film that is nominated for Best Picture, because I mean, in years prior to the podcast, I know that it would always be like, well, I've heard of this film and it sounds good, but I don't know anything about it. It's our little way of giving you guys a rundown on everything. So if you just need a simple way to like, what is that about? Was it any good? Like, yeah, we're here to take care of you and give our little, like, I think, what do we do? 15 or 20 minutes each?
I think it's 20 minutes per.
I felt like it went faster than that.
Yeah,
It's
it
not
goes
like,
a little fast because we all have to get all
we're on the timer.
Yeah,
no, but I mean, like 20 minutes, is it 3 hours for 20 minutes each? 10? Or,
I don't know.
That's what we calculated last time, around 3 hours. For,
10
I thought we
times
did
20.
15 minutes.
Maybe you're right. I don't know. I thought we did 20.
sometimes we will go over just because we got into it.
No, yeah, it's 3.5 hours.
3.5 hours.
So
Okay.
20 minutes.
20,
we might do
15,
15. I don't know.
15,
We'll
20.
talk about it.
Yeah,
but
feel it
full
out.
breakdown regardless, or at least within this limited amount of
That's
time.
what
We
we do
also
podcasts.
like discuss how most of these, if not all of these, are worthy of their own episode.
Yeah.
On this podcast, and how we'll potentially visit those in full episodes.
That is true because we
Things
could
like
potentially talk
Roma.
about it for a whole hour.
Yeah, so tune in next week. We'll talk about Challengers, and we'll get into the 97th Academy Award Best Picture nominees. And then we'll do our live Oscars recap
Come
the day
join
after
us.
the Oscars. We'll be live on YouTube and Facebook.
Talk smack about the film,
I don't know,
especially Emilia Perez.
maybe even TikTok if our boy over there can get that going. But
Yeah, boy.
we'll see what we get going in time. But rest assured, now that the man is here, hold him accountable. He
I know.
will be
Look at him.
sharing
Comment,
so much on social media
message him.
That's gonna
about
be me, guys.
this
That's gonna be
show and what we do and how we love cinema and how we're giving a take as filmmakers on cinema
And
All the
specifically.
messages to him.
also, fun interaction. Write down what film you feels.
You feels.
Yeah, you feels.
You feels and you
covers
feels.
this time period the best. I mean, there's so many films that deal with this. What is it? It's a Beautiful Life.
Boy in a Striped Pajamas.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's so many.
Boy in
Out of
Striped
all the
Pajamas.
ones that are out there, you feel like something that.
There's just a lot of great content. Like, I don't know
sure we
why,
should do
and
that.
maybe this is Art Spiegelman's choice, but Art Spiegelman did Mouse, and they never turned that into an animated film or even a live action would be interesting, like in the style of Fantastic
yeah.
Mr. Fox. To like, Mouse is one of the most compelling,
That would be amazing.
effective, efficient things that about the Holocaust for me. And I got to meet Art Spiegelman, man. And
You
he,
did?
Yeah, he did a talk at UTEP.
Name drop.
He signed my Mouse book, actually.
Dude.
And,
Sign your butt cheek. Get out
Cat
of
and
here.
he
Mouse.
did, but he's very down to earth. And this was very much him as a writer, as a journalist, telling a story about his dad who was in the Holocaust. Like, it's very special. But again, has never been depicted in cinema.
Yeah.
Mouse, is a very original take on it. We were talking about Vermin earlier and how they depict Jews to be that. It's just a great take on it. But
You should make a pitch. Hey, whoa.
again, I don't know if he's like against it. I'd have to look into that. I think he's still alive.
Yeah, but if you like,
We're on the line.
drop down in the comments
Or
what you
real
feel
life.
like the best film regarding this era.
Encompasses the
Yeah.
Holocaust.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Thank you for tuning into the WatchTower Film Podcast this week. Stay tuned for next week and other weeks. Please like, subscribe, share, tell your friends about these crazy cinephiles who talk about movies for 2 hours and how it might be cool if you tune in. Thank you for tuning into the WatchTower Film Podcast. We'll see you next
Good
week.
night,
Good
everybody.
night.
Love you guys.
Listen to our president.
Emilia Perez sucks.
Bam, 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 bam. Bam.